It's Barry and Eric again with this week's Gun Gripe. We're going to talk about some of the different countries in the world that and the extremes of the gun rights that citizens have. Today is a Swiss example, which is almost 100% freedom to own a gun. They have to qualify with their own gun. They are allowed to take their military weapon home with them. And they do have to qualify with it every year, don't they?
Not only are they required to keep their full auto service weapon in their house, they're also required to keep a certain amount of ammunition for the gun with them at all times.
Right.
They're supposed to be on call at all times. Basically, they're kind of like Minutemen.
Right.
The way the Swiss do is they should be able to be called upon at any moment to mobilize, and that was what the Swiss has always taken pride in, is their speed of mobilization.
Now, over there, military service is mandatory. And what is the age requirements for military service there?
If I'm not mistaken, any of you Swiss viewers, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe from the time you're 18 to 21, I think you have a 3 or 4 year mandatory compulsory military service period.
But even after that, like Eric said, every citizen there is actually a Minuteman, no matter what their age.
That's right.
They have the best military weaponry in their home.
Yep. They all have the ability to purchase and keep their service weapon. When they're in the service, they can pay the Swiss government, and they can keep their weapon from when they're in the service. How cool is that? You know, what it is it makes sense.
It does make sense. It does make sense. They've never been invaded.
They've never been invaded, and I know I always botch this story when I tell it, but there was a story of, I don't know if it was the Kaiser during World War I or who. I don't remember exactly who, but one of the German ranking generals or somebody actually came to Switzerland and kind of did sort of a passing review sort of thing, and basically what ended up happening is he was like, well, what would keep me and my, million-man army from coming and taking your little your little army over? And basically the, Swiss Sergeant Major is like, well, we'll just have to shoot twice,
That's
so basically, like, we've got you outnumbered 2 to 1.
And keep this in mind, every one of them is a marksman.
Yeah, every Swiss soldier.
Everyone knows how to use his rifle effectively.
Right. Yeah, the Swiss have always taken pride in their marksmanship abilities.
That is correct.
They have public ranges, government-sponsored ranges that are actually set up for the purpose of them being able to practice. They have access to all the government ammo they need, 9mm, 7.5 by 55, 308, whatever calibers they use. So the difference between the Swiss example and ours is that, of course, their surplus ammo is readily available to the citizenry, whereby here in America, the recharge destroy it.
Right. Well, in Switzerland, you are encouraged by the government itself to own a firearm. Here, it's getting more and more where you're being discouraged by the government. We're turning people against guns. Guns, when I was a child, were sporting equipment, or it was for recreation, blah, 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 but the Second Amendment was always there for protection. Now, in this time that we live in, they're trying to disarm us in the most dangerous part of history. So we're going to have to be...
At a time when we need to be more and more armed.
And we need to be thinking very, very much about the 2012 elections, because that could go either way, and if the president stays in office, I can almost guarantee you they're going to go after your guns. They have nothing to lose.
At that point, they got nothing to
Absolutely
lose.
nothing
They're on
to
the roller
lose.
coaster ride out at that point.
And if you've noticed during this first term, very little has been mentioned about gun control. Very little. In fact, I can't really recall a single instance.
Oh, they know that's a death wish if they talk about it.
It's a death wish, so we're going to have to be very careful, and we're going to have to be very conscientious.
All right, well, we just wanted to hit on that subject a little bit. I definitely, myself, personally, have a lot of respect for the Swiss, and I think that their model of neutrality and of free ownership of guns and everything, I think is a wonderful example.
It is.
And I think if the U.S. would follow that, we'd be a lot better off.
Correct.